Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I do hope you're enjoying your day today. So recently Funko had their latest earnings call for the first quarter of 2026, and it kind of shows you how they're currently doing as well as what they're projected to do over the course of this year. And what I like to do is watch through these earnings calls and listen to them and kind of go over things they said, some interesting things I heard, as well as outlooks and new products or, things they mentioned that would be interesting to you guys. Now this time around though, they did actually do something a little bit different where they had Tristan, aka Top Pops, if you know him. He's one of the largest Funko influencers. He actually hosted this earnings call. There's a video up on it over on Funko's Investors Relations, as well as he's probably going to put up a video of his own. So if you wanted to watch that whole thing, you guys can check it out there. I'll have a link down below. However, if you're looking for a recap of what they said, basically, I'll give you that here. Now, before we jump into everything though, I do want to ask the question of the day, which is, how are you guys feeling about Funko in this new year or over the last few months? Do you think they've been making really great products? Are you excited about Funko again? Have you lost interest? Let me know your feelings about Funko currently. Okay, so I'm gonna throw a couple quick numbers at you. So they said their sales were up 5% in Q1 of 2026. I think anything being up is obviously a plus, especially with a company like Funko in their current situation. They also said their core collectible sales were up 17%, which is pretty good. Now, one of the bigger things that they mentioned a lot was their highest gross margin of all time at 44%, and this was mainly due to reducing sales and kind of discounts they were doing on the website, as well as renewing licenses. Warner Brothers, Disney, Marvel, all of those. Though I can definitely see what they meant by reducing the amount of sales, because if you look in the last 2 years, they had a lot of sales all the time, like all the time. Some were okay, some were good, and then some were just straight up bad. And recently I did a video on one of Funko's latest sales of their new little category currently, which is 3 pops for $39.99, where you only get like a $5 discount. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing extravagant, and I'm assuming that's what they mean by reducing discounts and promotional stuff. Okay, moving on, something they repeated from the previous earnings call is they want to continue jumping on big licenses as they are super popular. Like how they jumped on K-pop Demon Hunter so fast, or the ending of Stranger Things, for example. They want to jump on big things like that could potentially happen in 2026, just quicker. Which is obviously a fantastic thing for Funko because they're widely known for being late to the trend on 99% of things, unfortunately. So that's one of my favorite things about this new CEO is he has that kind of outlook like, hey, we need to be more current and stop living in the past so much. But at the same time, still paying attention to the past too, all those great things that came out, movies, films, video games, etc. Again though, at the same time, paying attention to what's current and not making K-pop Demon Hunters 2 years down the line after the hype's over, Okay, so a couple other things they did mention is that they were not negatively impacted currently by the oil prices. As you guys know, we're having a huge oil issue right now. But if you've been paying half attention to the news, you know what's going on with that. But so far, they have not been affected, so they have not incurred any other additional costs, which is pretty good. Plus, as you know, there's a current refund situation going on with the tariffs after the Supreme Court did their ruling, essentially. So they actually are looking to get a refund of around $20 million that they paid in. And they're actively seeking out that process and trying to do all the right paperwork is what they stated. So something good could come of that. They could have millions of dollars coming back to them in a refund check, which would help them, with operational costs, paying down debt, or whatever they do with it. Or making Code Geass Funko Pops if you're watching Funko. That's a lot of money. I think you could make it happen with $20 million. Now, one big question that was asked in this call that was a little bit disappointing was about more retail locations, and like I said, a little bit of a disappointing answer here. But they did state that they're trying to revitalize their Funko section over in the FAO Schwartz store over in New York, and then they don't really have any other plans of making other retail locations, which I think Florida would have been a great hotspot. That's where I live, if you guys are wondering. Orlando would have been fantastic for that. As we have all of the different theme parks, maybe they could have one over in Disney Springs. That would be incredible. But the CEO, Josh Simon, didn't completely rule it out. He said as they grow bigger and, they get more money coming in and they're a little bit more in the green, I guess is the best way I can put it, they would explore that opportunity. So here's hoping that there's good news in the future. One other thing on that topic though that they did mention is that they want to do more of the pop-ups with their Pop Yourselves. As you know, they've been doing football collabs with that. They've been doing some soccer ones too. So they want to continue kind of doing like random pop-up ones at big events and music festivals or whatever this year. Now, as far as some new like Funko Pop news, I want to say they did say that Pop Mystery is going to debut over at San Diego Comic-Con, which includes their, Warner Brother horror line as well as their Pop Flora line. So you can look forward to SDCC 2026 this year debuting those. And they also went on to say that more book Funko Pops are coming. So Funko plans to do some really big IP and licenses with the books category this year. One other big thing they officially teased was absolute DC Comics Funko Pops.
Across the team, we're all really excited about DC's absolute universe. Is sort of how, I think it's super unique. It's a fresh take on that world. The books have been great, chart topping. I think that's an area that I think we're continued to really explore.
And Josh, the CEO, specifically mentioned that he was really excited about the absolute Batman and DC comic universe. And as you know, we already have a leak out that Pops are coming in the next half year or so. So pretty much confirming and teasing it there. Now, something very quickly on the Loungefly side of things is Loungefly's representative that was there at the meeting stated Loungefly wants to reach Gen Z with a more everyday functional kind of style to their bags at a more affordable price. So if you're into Loungeflies by chance, if you watch my videos and you collect those, we could be seeing kind of like a price cut in like a different category of cheaper bags. So I'm very curious to see what that entails and if that would maybe boost Loungefly sales in the future. Now guys, that pretty much covers a majority of what was new and kind of mentioned. A lot of it was pretty similar to the previous earnings call too, but they did have a pretty good quarter. And they're also expecting a really good quarter for Q2 of 2026 too. So basically a quick outlook. Funko is looking pretty good this year. They're selling a lot more products. They still have debt. Obviously, there's still a lot of issues within the company that they're actively trying to fix. But so far, Josh Simon, the new CEO, has been doing pretty good in his time there. So this was a pretty good outlook for anybody who's wondering if Funko's going out of business, all those crazy articles we saw. Not anytime soon, as I mentioned previous in my video. And if you want a little bit more information about that, I'm gonna spend a couple more minutes actually going over their earnings call too. They have like a little PowerPoint situation, but like I said, I pretty much went over a majority of the more important stuff. So you can click off the video here if you want to. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at their presentation here. So Q1 2026 earnings, May 7th. So that's just the disclosures and all that, table of contents. So executive summary, this is what Josh had to say. We kicked off the year with a strong Q1 performance, building on the positive momentum from the second half of 2025 with net sales. Gross margin and adjusted EBITDA, however you want to pronounce that. Everybody pronounces differently, but all exceeding expectations. International sales were robust, particularly in Europe, and our core collectibles business increased 17% year over year, contributing to the highest reported gross margin in our history, which is obviously a fantastic thing. But more importantly, I really like that international sales are growing more and more, and I really hope they continue paying attention to Europe, especially because there's so many complaints over there of people just not happy with how much stock is available or, what pops aren't actively available or how hard things are to get. So I really hope they expand more over there. Anyways, he goes on to say, as we focus on bringing the biggest cultural moments to life, we're excited to continue executing against our strategic plan, moving at the speed of culture, meeting fans wherever they are and giving them new ways to connect with stories they love. Okay, so here's a little bit more information of the executive summary. So kind of going to read from here. They paid down $6 million of debt, which is pretty good, reduced net inventory by 8% compared with December 31st, 2025, and by 12% compared with March 31st, 2025. Free cash flow improved by $31 million compared to Q1 last year. Advanced efforts to expand Asia business. So they're trying to expand more into Asia, which is great. They also got a new chief international officer, and they recently visited a few different places in the world to kind of strengthen partnerships, see what else they could do, and more licenses and all that. So this was a pretty interesting slide here. These were their top 10 properties of Q1 for 2026, 37% of their net sales, which was K-pop Demon Hunters, One Piece, Pokemon, Funko Pop Yourself, really moving up there, Hello Kitty, Stranger Things, Harry Potter, Lilo and Stitch, Star Wars, and Marvel there. So One Piece being at number 2 still is just crazy, man. They've released so many One Piece. And then K-pop Demon Hunters was super new. Obviously the movie was a phenomenon, so it makes sense that it was 7% of their sales of that it's crazy. But yeah, these were their top 10 properties. Let me know what you guys think and if you bought anything from any of these. Now, as you know, they've been doing more kind of like locations. Like this was a newer one over in Miami. It has Pop Yourself and, you know, exclusive Funko Pops, merchandise and all that. So I would say that's as far as they've done in terms of like expanding, other than like partners like FAO Schwartz. I would really like to see more Funko stores like out there, especially in Orlando. That's a really hot spot for collectibles. They also wanted to showcase their new I Show Speed Funko Pop with their quick strike moment, where as he was going out to the WrestleMania ring, they dropped the Funko Pop at the same time for pre-order, which is fantastic. That is what I want to see more of. Now, as you guys know, they've been doing a lot of stuff with the FIFA World Cup this year. It's huge. They've been dropping lines left and right, which is obviously super, super good. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the outlook for Funko for the first quarter. I'll do another one of these videos at the second quarter, which I think it's August. I think August is their next expected one, but I'm glad that this was like positive. I really am. They paid down some debt. They made a little bit more money. They're fixing things. They're getting things out to market faster. But all at the same time, remember, they do still have debt. They do have issues going on that they're actively fixing. So I don't want to sit here and act like everything's positive. There are still issues within the company for sure. But I really think Josh is doing a great job so far. Like, I don't agree with everything he says in his interviews personally, but overall, I think he's doing a good job. So I definitely wanted to give him his flowers with this so far. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully this kind of keeps you up to date on, you know, the current state of Funko. Hopefully I explained things a little bit better. As always, hit the like button down below if you did enjoy, and subscribe and click that notification bell if you're new here. I do want to go ahead and end off the video by saying a big shout out to all the awesome Patreon supporters of the channel. You guys are amazing for supporting myself and the channel. If you guys are interested and want to check out the Patreon, the link is down below. We have a Patreon Discord where we share a lot of information, news, restocks, updates, links, and more. And finally, make sure you follow me on all my social medias at Skittlerampage over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and my Facebook page so you can stay up to date. All right, love you guys. See you guys in the next one. See you guys later. Bye.